So what? It's a question I forget to ask time and again when I get involved in studying text, in studying law. It's a question my students ask. Anyone who has ever taught knows the dreaded question, when will I ever use this in real life? What's the point of studying this anyways? We should never answer that we simply study for the sake of study, for even the sages would rebuke us. In Masechet Kiddushin, Chazal argue whether study or action is greater. They arrive at the conclusion that study is greater, for study will bring forth action. Study should not be only for itself, rather study should cause us to act, which can be an easy and difficult task to try and apply to a parsha in Vayikra. So, most of the book of Vayikra is dedicated to step-by-step instructions for the Kohanim, especially focused on laws regarding sacrifices. The attention to detail can leave us in search of deeper meaning and relevance. Learning it with a contemporary audience often feels as though we are given answers in search of questions, like a Jeopardy game for our spiritual life. Yet, given what seems to be a lack of relevance to our contemporary senses, the modern meaning of the book still remains a mystery, and the few narrative portions within it are no less puzzling. Parshat Shmini begins with the dedication of the Mishkan and the ceremonies within. It concludes with a number of details about kashrut. And in the middle, only a few verses are dedicated to the death of Nadav and Avihu by an act of God. There are debates among the commentators as to the nature of their death, detailing the exact circumstances and the cause of their deaths. What interests me, however, is why. Why did these two die for something that seems to me to be so minor, with so little detail given? The commentators believe that their deaths were the consequences of their own sins, drunkenness, arrogance, impiety. So what? Are we to take this as a message that sin leads to death? It's true that Judaism teaches this theology in places. But reading Nadav and Avihu as sinners runs counter to other rabbinic traditions. The Or HaChaim, a 17th century Moroccan commentator, explains in his commentary on the Pinchas story that the Torah will refuse to use names for a sinner unless there is a compelling reason, in order to avoid belittling a person. Yet the Torah states at least 2 more times that Nadav and Avihu died when they brought a forbidden fire before God. Or HaChaim here provides a counterpoint that perhaps the mention of Nadav and Avihu by name indicates that the traditional commentaries are wrong. What if there was no sin? What does the story look like if we imagine Nadav and Avihu did no wrong? What if the fault lies not with the student, but with the teacher? When we look at the leadership of Bnei Israel in the desert, we see Moses, a wise, firm, and easily angered teacher. And we see Aaron, a wise, compassionate, and easily overcome peace seeker. Both of these are prototypes of teachers that we've all seen, but I'm not sure whether either of these are models of good pedagogy. We learn in Pirkei Avot, V'lo ha'baishan lamed, v'lo ha'kapdan milamed. One who is withdrawn cannot learn, one who is impatient cannot teach. But so what? What does it matter whether we know what a good teacher is, or whether these are traits that we should strive to achieve? Why should we care? How can relevance emerge from this text? What if we look at this as a story of here, as a story of now? In this parsha, I hear only the voice of how to perform, how to sacrifice, with the only additional meaning coming from an assertion here and there of, I am the Lord your God. Content without meaning. I'm sure that most of us have been in classes like this, where we are taught function, we're taught form, we're taught analysis. But how often are we asked to take that out of the classroom? The classes I remember most and use material most from my experience at JTS are the ones that required me to think about how I would use this in real life, how I would use material to write Divrei Torah, to create lesson plans, to react to questions, to identify how this material could be used to create meaning for others. These situations seem parallel to me. Nadav and Avihu were surely taught all the correct steps to prepare the sacrifices. But were they ever taught how to prepare themselves spiritually, to give meaning to the steps? Was it arrogance, or was it a focus on the details, so much so that they never became mentally invested in their tasks? Do we, when we fail to teach meaning, put the souls entrusted to our care at risk? Now, creating meaning does not mean that we must define one and only one way to understand. In Sefer HaChinuch, a 13th century work on the 613 mitzvot, we learn that there are 70 facets to every verse in the Torah. And we learn from even the greatest arguments in Masechet Eruvin, the whole series of arguments between Hillel and Shammai, Elu ve'elu divrei Elohim chayim, that these and these are the words of the living God. So we can help to show that there's meaning in everything, from the awareness required when making brachot to the value of argument and doubt. We can help our learners to find a relationship with prayer and be willing to talk about the divine. We should let this parsha be a call to action, to make meaning in every aspect of our lives, and to help others to do the same. Kaddish Rabbanan. Yikadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah, be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich machutei, v'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehe shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam ul'al me'al maya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei d'kodesha b'rechu, le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, Damiran ba'alma v'imru, Amen. Al Yisrael va'al Rabbanan va'al Talmidehon, va'al kol Talmidei Talmidehon, va'al kol man daskin ba'oraita, div atra hadein v'div v'chol atar v'atar, yehe lahon ulachon shlam rabba, china v'chista v'rachamin, v'chayin arichin umzona revicha, ufurkana min kodom avohon divishmaya v'imru, Amen. Yehe shlam rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu va'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. There are light refreshments out there for all of you who came. Thank you.